Hey guys, this is a video to review the strategies for a math ACT quiz that you took. This is typically for virtual students or students that would like a replay of what was discussed in class. So for your strategies quiz, the first question was, the math test is supposed to start out easy and get harder. This is true. So the key words here are supposed to. This is what it is actually written, planned for by ACT, but sometimes, as you saw on the pre-test that you guys took, it is not always the case. So for example, 21 actually looks more difficult than 35, because 35, you could take all of that and plug it into your calculator. So that one is actually an easier problem than 21. So remember, it is supposed to start out easier and get harder. Question 2, there are 5 math answers given in increasing order. This one is also true. So what that means is the answer choices are actually given in increasing order. So from top to bottom, they're going to get bigger as they go. So for typical questions, you might want to start with the middle, especially if you're working on plugging things back in to find if that's the correct answer or not. If you start with the middle, then if that 20 is too big, you know that you're only looking at the numbers above that because they're in order. If that is too small, you're looking at D and E as options. So sometimes it is a good place to start. The other thing is for 27, you will not necessarily see them go in increasing order because we don't know what A is. So when variables are involved, it may not follow this rule. Number 3, if you plug in answers, always start with the middle number. Now, what I talked about on the last slide was a good tip, but always should have been a keyword to tell you that this one is false. So for example, on this question, it says, what is the least common denominator of these fractions? So I would actually start with the smallest number and then work my way down from there. So it all depends on what the question is asking for. If you're not sure, start with the middle. But if the question says least, I would start at the top. If it says greatest, start at the bottom. Number 4, it is a good idea to eyeball your answers if you are clueless. Absolutely true. Okay. This is one of the biggest tips I can give you is to estimate, estimate, estimate. If you're not sure, you're completely clueless, eyeball it, and you might be able to find the right answer. Another thing on this question is there is a lot of information that you don't need. So you actually don't need to read that. It just straight to the question, what is the height of the tree? So what I'm really trying to find is this value here. So I'm going to look at that, and I notice that that has to be smaller than 8. Remember, your hypotenuse is your biggest, so it has to be smaller than 8. And this side down here is 3. Well, that looks longer than 3. And I know that that's probably not 5. 5 is probably somewhere in there. So if I'm just going to estimate and eyeball, I would pick C, which is actually the correct answer for this problem. Okay, so it is a good idea to eyeball the answers, especially if you are clueless. Number 5, not given is rarely the answer. That is false. A lot of times students are actually afraid to pick that answer, so it is one of ACT's strategies to put that as the answer. So make sure that you're not just looking for an answer if there isn't one. If not given is an option, that might be your answer. A lot of the times, if it is an option, it is the answer. Number 6, you should eat protein before the test. Absolutely true. That is, protein will sustain you longer. So one of the worst things that you could do is go in and have an energy drink or a candy bar or something that's going to make you crash. So make sure you are eating protein before the test. Number 7, students who correct mistakes on questions they missed score higher. That is absolutely true. So we will do a bunch of corrections in this class. You will take the test and then you will work on corrections because the more that you can see where you're making your own mistakes, the higher you will score in the future. And number 8, if a student increases his score by 7 or more points, the ACT board will conduct an inquiry. That is true. So in that case, the school board or the ACT board will actually call the school, find out what classes the student is taking, see if they're taking an ACT prep course, if they're taking regular courses. They will investigate if you score 7 points or more higher than your previous score. Number 9, never estimate the answers since the drawings may not be to scale. This is false. The ACT is not your typical math class, so the drawings are drawn to scale unless they say otherwise. Specifically in the ACT, they are drawn to scale unless they say otherwise. So again, in this question, I'm not going to read any of this. I'm going to go straight to the question. To the nearest tenth, what is the height of the pine tree? So I'm trying to figure out what this X is over here. If you look at the picture, you probably didn't need to read any of that. Okay, so we're looking at the picture. I don't know, maybe I'm just going to look and measure with the side of my paper. That's one of the biggest tips I can give too for if you're not sure and you want to just draw and measure. You can use the side of your Scantron or the side of a piece of paper that you have when you take your test and actually measure out how big this 12 is here on the bottom. Okay, when you hold that up to the other side where the X is, you're going to see that it's actually bigger than 12. Another way that you can do that is if you measure with your pencil. So a lot of times I'll tell kids, because you use your soft number 2 pencils, to kind of put like a little tick mark on your pencil and then use your pencil to measure as well. So maybe you lined your pencil up here and that is exactly 12. So now I'm going to put my pencil over here and I see that my pencil is not quite as tall. Well, all of these are smaller than 12 except for K. So the drawings are to scale. So if you can use anything to help you measure, that problem is done in very short time. And the last question, question 10, if your cell phone goes off during the test, you will be asked to leave. This is true. Please, please leave your cell phone at home, somewhere else, turn it off, put it in a bag that you leave outside the classroom that you test in. If it goes off, even if that's just a vibration, it will terminate your test. You will be asked to leave. Your grades will not be scored. That's the end of your test. Okay, so make sure that you are following those rules that you were given when you sign up for your ACT. All right, guys, that is all for the strategies. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you later. Bye.